You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. And today, a special presentation brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. Whether it's Beyonce, Darius Rucker, or Chapel Hart, hearing Black Americans make country music is still not the norm. But it has become more common thanks to some Mississippians of generations past who felt it was simply the natural way for them to make music. On today's Blues and Arts Hour, Magnolia Music, Black Mississippians in country music.
Prince Albert, the National Joy of Smoke, presents your Grand Ole Opry.
Howdy, howdy, friends and neighbors. Join us in our Prince Albert show. Tune up your five-string banjo. Lay down your fiddle and your bow. Throw back the rug on the floor. Light up your old cob pipe. Everyone will have some fun at the Grand Ole Opry tonight.
From a seemingly faraway land called Nashville, the Grand Ole Opry rode the radio waves from the 50,000-watt signal of WSM into living rooms across the United States from the 1920s on.
I was born about 54 miles below Memphis, Tennessee, which is about 275 miles from Nashville, and my home is about 275. Well, the Grand Ole Opry, the station was a 50,000-watt station, and it just beamed right in that on Saturday night. So when we come out of the cotton fields to picking cotton, I'd be listening to the Grand Ole Opry, but then on weekdays, I'd hear station out of Memphis, like WREC radio, they'd come on, and I can give you, it'd say WREC, owned by Hort B. Wooten and such, and this is Buck Stuffy turning his buckaroos, and this is the guy that I remember listening to, and guys like Gene Autry and Wayne Rainey.
Charlie Frank Pride gives his story to an Australian TV show called Down Home, Down Under in 1986.
And who was who did you idolize back then?
Well, the big stars when I started listening was what I call the biggies at the time. They were the biggies at the time when I started listening that had an influence on me were Roy Acuff, Ernest Tubb, Eddie Arnold. The Grand Ole Opry at that time, like in the late 40s, early 50s, that they made the impression on me. I mean, right on through to Hank Williams and at this present time.
Charlie Pride was by no means the first Black American to sing country music.
Hot tomato than the red hot, yeah, she got 'em for sale. Hot tomato than the red hot, yeah, she got 'em for sale. I got a good such long and tall, she sleeps in the kitchen with a piece in the hall.
While Robert Johnson, born in Hazelhurst and roaming rambler of the Delta, is known primarily for his blues recordings, his songs to some extent could be considered country blues.
Oh, it's crying time again. You're gonna need me. I can see that faraway look in your eyes.
And in 1962, while Mr. Pride was transitioning from professional baseball player to singer, performing in clubs in Helena, Montana, Ray Charles made the album Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. Meanwhile, Pride of Sledge, Mississippi, was honing his craft, having mail-ordered his first guitar at the age of 14 from Sears.
Let me tell you, we all sing. I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. We all sing. And my brother that I'm next to, we used to do kind of duets together when we were growing up. And someday I hope that people will see will be able to see that. I've been saying this, but we all sing, but I'm the only one has done anything of any great significance of success at this moment.
Like many people who have a career based in Nashville, Pride's breakthrough came when Chet Atkins heard one of his demo tapes cut with his band in Montana, the Nighthawks.
But you see, when they said you sing in their music, you see, the color situation comes into play here. The color of my skin going around saying, oodle-dee, oodle-dee. I says, huh? I mean, you say, well, that in itself was odd, you see.
Though color was a barrier sometimes in getting gigs, it wasn't so much in getting a recording contract. He ended up being signed with RCA Records and with Jack D. Johnson as manager and agent, the same man who managed Jim Reeves and Skeeter Davis. In 1966, Country Charlie Pride, as he was known then, released his first 45 on RCA.
But when I go on stage, I say, this song I'm about to do for you now, because usually I'll do this after I've done my show and maybe I have an encore or something. This is the very first song that I did when I went to Nashville. And I said, you talk about nervous. I was nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof. and I said, but if you listen to the song, you might not detect that. But every time I sing it, I think about how my legs was going like this, and it's the snakes crawl at night. And
Snakes crawl at night is a smasher.
What a record.
Oh, the snakes crawl at night. That's what they say. When the sun goes down, then the snakes will play. I watched that car pull right up into my driveway. Saw a shadow slip away from my house. So I hurried straight and looked in her room, and I found out that it was my loving spouse. Oh, the snakes crawl at night, that's what they say. When the sun goes down, then the snakes will play. So I waited in the shadows until morning, and the gun I held was trembling in my hand. No, I did not plan to give them any warning, for the devil on my shoulder had command. Oh, the snakes crawl at night, that's what they say. When the sun goes down, then the snakes will play. Oh, the trial in a little while was over, and they sentenced me to die right away. But before I leave this courtroom, please, Your Honor, there's something more that I would like to say. Oh, the snakes crawl at night, that's what they say. When the sun goes down, then the snakes will play. Oh, the snakes crawl at night, that's what they say.
Success for Charlie Pride was not immediate, and it didn't come easy. But it might have come easier than you might think. Though Nashville of the time was notoriously cliquish, Pride didn't seem to have much more trouble than anyone else getting songs on the radio. Some of that might have had to do with some promotional materials not having a photograph included. Whether that was on purpose or not is a subject for debate. Pride has been paraphrased as saying that color didn't matter to RCA. He could have been pink as long as the record was good. Though The Snakes Crawl at Night was not a successful single, RCA didn't give up after one shot or even two. The follow-up single, Before I Met You, didn't chart either. The third time was the charm, and Pride's first hit was Just Between You and Me, which hit number 9 on the Billboard Country chart February 25th, 1967.
So I feel so blue, sometimes I wanna die. And so I've got a broken heart, so what? They say that time will heal all wounds in mice and men, and I know that someday I'll forget and love again. But just between...
Coming up, how a man with Mississippi pride earned his respect. Magnolia Music, Black Mississippians in country music continues on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. And today, a special presentation, Magnolia Music, Black Americans in Country Music.
Ladies and gentlemen, those people in the music business, in the trade magazines that take the polls, nominated this next fella as a top country artist for the past 2 years in a row, Charlie Pride.
Rain dripping off the brim of my hat, sure is cold today. Here I am walking down 66. Wish he hadn't done me that way. Sleeping under a table in a roadside park, a man could wake up dead. But it sure seems warmer than it did, sleeping in our king-size bed. Is anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her. Wind whipping down the neck of my shirt like I ain't got nothing on. But I'd rather fight the wind and rain than what I've been fighting at home. Yonder comes a truck with a U.S. mail, people writing letters back home. Tomorrow she'll probably want me back, but I'll still be just as gone. Is anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her.
If country music fans had a problem with letting an African American into their homes to sing country on radio, on records, or on TV, it certainly was not immediately obvious in 1969.
The entertainer of the year, yeah, he's due. Ladies and gentlemen, my buddy, Mr. Charlie Pride.
In 1966, he had played to a large audience at Detroit Olympic Stadium, telling them at their surprise on seeing his color, "Friends, I realize it's a little unique, me coming out here with a permanent suntan to sing country and western to you, but that's the way it is." A year later, he was the first black performer to be invited to perform on the Grand Ole Opry since 1941, when founding member DeFord Bailey made his last appearance.
Mr. Charlie Pride, and here he comes. Dale. Before you take another step, there's something you should know.
With those milestones now behind him, the man who grew up on the Opry was deep in the business of making hit records. It seemed in those years that Pride of Sledge, Mississippi just didn't have a dud. It was one hit after another. All I Have to Offer You Is Me.
'Cause all I have to offer you is me.
I'm So Afraid of Loving You Again. Wonder could I live there anymore. And then, what may have been his biggest success, performed here on RFD TV, much later, mind you, with fellow Mississippian Marty Stewart.
How about a hand, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Charlie Pride? Where are you, Mr. Pride?
Thank you. Thank you. Ever I chance to meet some old friends on the street. They wonder how does a man get to be this way?
Oh, yeah.
Always got a smiling face, anytime at any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning. Let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning. Love her like the devil when you get back home.
people may try to guess the secret of our happiness, but some of them never learn that it's a simple thing. The secret I'm speaking of is a woman and a man in love, and the answer is in the song that I always sing. You got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning, love her like the devil when you get back home. Lord, Lord.
That's all right. That's the way it's supposed to be right there.
For a blues man, being African American is one thing, but being a country singer.
Yeah, well, a lot of people will say, well, how did you get into country music? What, coming from a blues state? And I said, oh, is that right? I said, maybe people that come from Mississippi can be whatever they want to be.
Down in the Delta where I was born, all we raised was cotton, potatoes, and corn. I picked cotton till my fingers hurt, dragging the sack through that Delta dirt.
So did you experience racism in country music?
An interview on a Canadian TV show called Strombo with host George Strombolopoulos.
That's what people think, man, you must have had it rough. But I didn't. Now I can tell you some funny things have happened, but not no tough, with like Jackie Robinson. They put the black cat on the field, they signed petition, wouldn't play with him and all that. Yeah. No, every one of the, I cannot think of and tell you, and it's the truth again. Not one of my peers has ever said any harsh words to me or called me.
From a Mississippi cotton-picking Delta town, one dusty street to walk up and down, nothing much to do but just hang around in a Mississippi cotton-picking Delta town.
I said, man, as good as your voice, what are you doing singing? They used to say this when I first started, singing that stuff. And that's what they would say, that stuff. I said, well, so you can sing anything you want, good as your voice is. I said, well, what's wrong? So, and my own sister used to say, why are you singing their music? I said, well, you ain't gonna never get you nothing. This is my oldest sister, she used to say that. She lived in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So I bought her about 2 or 3 SUVs.
Ever the gracious gentleman, Charlie Pride, did not steer away from talking about color, but in the early 90s developed a standard answer to that old question.
What was it like to be the first black country artist?
This is from The View.
When I first started in this business, one reporter said, well, Charlie, how does it feel to be the Jackie Robinson of country music? So, Charlie, how does it feel to be the first colored country singer? So, Charlie, how does it feel to be the first Negro country singer? Charlie, how does it feel to be the first Afro-American country singer? Well, hold on. I said, I feel the same way I did when I was colored.
We gotta go, Charlie. Oh, my God.
Still singing just a few days before contracting COVID-19, which killed him in December 2020, Pride maintained the upbeat and kind attitude for which he had become known.
My legacy, I would like for people to say that, first of all, I think they would say this, that he loved what he did, and I think I'm a pretty good fella. I think I'm a pretty nice fella.
Mississippi, carry me home.
Coming up, another Mississippi singer follows Charlie Pride with a brand of music all his own. It's Magnolia Music, Black Americans in Country Music on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. And today, a special presentation, Magnolia Music, Black Americans in Country Music.
This is a city, Nashville, Tennessee. I work here. I'm a country picker. A few years ago, I came to Nashville to cut my first country record. Now, some folks knew that there were already one in Nashville who didn't sound like he was supposed to. But I don't think they ever dreamed that there would be another. Well, when I went out on the road to make my first country appearance, I started to sing, and some old boy jumped up, grabbed his heart, stumbled out in the parking lot, and a big policeman grabbed him and said, "Boy, what happened to you in there?" He said, "Mister, you won't believe it." He said, "Boy, tell me, what happened to you in there?" He said, "Mister, I told you, you won't believe it." He said, "Well, just tell me. Please, son, just tell me." He said, "Well, in there's a black speck, singing like a redneck, but he sings a good song. Lord, he sings."
While Charlie Pride was rather reserved when it came to being outright about race, O.B. McClinton, born O.B. Burnett McClinton, had no qualms about being a whole lot more in your face about it. He was born in Senatobia and grew up there. It's coincidentally in the same area as Sledge, the home of Charlie Pride. Though O.B. McClinton's path was a bit different, both men had in common that they grew up on country radio.
Oh, Elijah, he never got a kiss. Oh, Elijah, he don't know what he missed. Is it any wonder that his face is red? Elijah, that poor old wooden head.
McClinton's favorites included Hank Williams.
Well, it was always just something that I did for fun. You know, I was grown before I realized that you could make a living in music. You know, when I started singing and clowning around, it was in school just because I always enjoyed it, and the kids always seemed to get a kick out of it. You know, and I wasn't very athletic like basketball and football, and in school, if you didn't play football or basketball, the only other way to get a girl was to sing, you know. So I did a lot of singing.
In this 1986 interview with Lane Mason at WDBR Radio in Nashville, McClinton explains that he was in the service before he decided to really give the music business a try.
I armed myself with several demo tapes before I got out. You know, I came through Nashville, and it was a guy named Slim Williamson. He was the head of Chart Records at the time.
He played it smart, went into Chart in a disguise.
I decided that before I went in, I said, well, I want to get a real honest opinion of whether these songs are any good or whether I'm any good. So I decided not to go in and say, hey, I got some tapes that I'm singing on, I want you to listen to. I decided that disguise myself as my own manager, you know. And I figured, well, he'll really load a boom on this dude, you know. So I went in and I said, I'd like to speak to somebody, you know, in charge of A&R. And I said, Mr. Williamson, I'm O.B. McClinton, and I got some tapes by a singer over in South Carolina. I'm in the service. I've been stationed with him a long time, and said, man, he writes good songs. I think he sings good, you know. But you know, he's kind of laid back, and he won't do anything with it. So I decided I'd just kind of see if I could get somebody to listen to him. You know, he said, okay, I'll give him a listen, and he put him on. And you know, I was watching by his reaction. He was kind of liking what he heard, you know. And he said, yeah, it's different. And he said, he wrote all these songs. Yeah, he wrote them all. He said, well, how well do you know him? You know, I said, oh, real well. I said, man, we do everything together. I said, don't think it's funny or anything, but we even sleep together, you know. He said, well, I guess you would know him well, you know.
Now believing that his songs that he wrote himself were worth something, McClinton then shopped himself around.
I went down to Memphis, and I knew Al Bell and Jim Stewart and other people at Stax Records because I had written a couple of songs for Otis Redding a little before I went into service. So I decided to play it for Al Bell. Now, though they weren't into country music, country was getting real popular at the time, so I figured they might be interested. So happened that by the time he said, we have been given some consideration into breaking into the country market. And he listened to the tapes, and he said, yeah, I'll sign you. And he signed me. He gave me a $10,000, you know, signing fee, you know, and get me situated and stuff. So that's how it all got started.
McClinton was not very happy with his first producer or his first album.
We really didn't know each other, you know, and he was he kind of thought that if another black was going to make it in country music, he had to be even countryer than Charlie Pride, you know, and so he tended to carry me into that fictitious mode of twisting my mouth and singing in the throat, you know, and it just didn't work. It wasn't natural and it wasn't me, and needless to say, the album didn't do very well.
After that, he talked the heads of the studio into letting him produce his own second album. The result was his biggest hit and the song that he felt said the most about him as a performer.
Girl, try to remember when you didn't have no shoes. We stuck together, just you and me. And it took a long time to get what we got today. But now you wanna leave me for another man. I'm begging you, don't let the green grass fool you. Don't let it change your mind. It might look greener on the other side, but in my arms is where you belong. Girl, try to remember when you was on your sick bed. I was the one to see you through, and I know he's feeding you a whole lot of sweet talk, but everything shiny, girl, sure ain't gold. I'm begging you, don't let the green grass fool you. Don't let it change your mind. It might look greener on the other side, but in my arms is where you belong. Honey, don't let the green grass fool you. Sugar, don't let it change your mind. I know it looks greener on the other side, but in my arms is where you belong. I'm begging you, don't let the green grass fool you.
McClinton was a man with a sense of humor who also loved his home. That ended up taking him into some territory that could almost be considered novelty.
Buddy, you can call me Obi from San Antonio, and you can tell anybody that you might see. My mama gave birth to me in San Antonio, and it's the most important place in the world to me. Everybody, you can just call me Obi from San Antonio, and you better believe it's a Mississippi town.
Coming up, O.B. McClinton makes his mark and his exit, and country music has new precedent. You're listening to Magnolia Music, Black Americans in Country Music, on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. And today's presentation is Magnolia Music, Black Americans in Country Music.
Hey buddy, if you're sitting around in a state of depression, now that ain't what it takes to bring you out of a recession. If everything you own's in danger, don't feel like a lone ranger, 'cause you ain't all alone. Turn the music music on. Turn the music on when you're feeling low. Music will take you anywhere you wanna go.
Country music has to appeal to country music lovers.
By the 1980s, country music had changed.
Country music lovers don't like watered down country songs. They don't like those fancy fancy productions. You know?
O.B. McClinton of Senatobia had some hit records. He also pioneered TV as a way to market his records, even when they were no longer making the country charts.
Thanks again, America, for ordering my TV album. How many of you have seen the album on television and enjoyed it, whether you wrote... Anyway...
From an interview in 1987 on Ralph Emery's Nashville Now.
A survival fund. We want to call it the O.B. McClinton Fight for Life Fund. I said, who's fighting? I'm a lover, not a fighter.
McClinton had been diagnosed with cancer in 1986, and his health was failing.
It really hit me. In the middle of the night, I sat there and I was reading cards and letters. You know, I read a letter from a little old lady who's 92 years old, and she said, O.B., she said, I love you. And she told me, she said, I'm white. I said, well, that's good. And she said, I'm 92 years old. She said, but I want you to know that I love you. And she said, we are not going to let them take you away from us, you know.
By the time he appeared on Emery's show, he was frail.
And my hometown of Senatobia, Mississippi, is very dear to me. And if anybody's listening down in Senatobia tonight, I want you to know that I love you, and I believe you love me too. I wrote this song. It's going to be on the next TV package, along with my autobiography. I'm writing a book, and it's going to tell all about how I tired a mule and ran away from Senatobia, not because I didn't like Senatobia, but because I wanted to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Despite that, he took the mic and gave his hometown one last shout out.
Kick it off over there.
Mr. Whitehurst, go ahead.
Just below Memphis, across the Mississippi line, there's a place in the sun that I'm proud to call mine. Back in 1940, late one Wednesday night, my mama went in late. It was there I saw the light. Born to be different, I drifted away, but there was never any doubt I'd come home someday. 'Cause them big city crowds are giving me claustrophobia. So when I die, I want my last ride back to Senatobia. You know what, Ralph? When I was just a young boy, my mind used to roam, and it took me far away from my Mississippi home. I've traveled all around the world, taking in a country band, but I left my heart very deep in that Mississippi sand. Tonight we play Houston, tomorrow San Antonio. But there's one thing for sure, there's no place like home. These big city crowds are giving me claustrophobia. So when I die, give me my last ride back to Senatobia. I said, oh, when I die, give me my last ride back to Senatobia.
You're all stand up.
God bless you.
Just 1 month later, McClinton would be gone. The man passed into history at age 47, but his legacy would remain, as would the legacy of Charley Pride, which was all too apparent well before his death.
Now, a big welcome, if you please, for the Goo Goo Man of the Hour, Tommy Brown.
In Robert Altman's 1975 movie Nashville, which was satirical, actor Tim Brown played a caricature of Charley Pride. Singer Tommy Brown.
I've been going down that long, lonesome road, babe, and I've been doing it for a while, yeah. I've been going down that long, lonesome road, babe, looking for...
Even though black Americans would not elect to be country singers in large numbers, the traditional country influences of Pride and McClinton would still be enjoyed by people who love country music.
Heading down south to the land of the pines, I'm thumbing my way into North Carolina, staring up the road and pray to God I see headlights. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama.
For Hootie and the Blowfish frontman Darius Rucker, the switch to country music was a logical transition for his solo career.
Everybody was aware of Charley Pride. He was, it was one of those things when I did listen to country music, my mom would always say, make sure you know who Charley Pride is. Of course I know who Charley Pride is. He was so big because he was, like you said, he was the only African American doing it.
From an interview on Access TV.
I didn't think about it, and then I had my first hit, and somebody came up and told me I was the first African American in 30 years or something.
Probably since Charley Pride.
Yeah, since Charley Pride. And I was like, wow, that's just crazy to think about. But Charley was big in that community. He was somebody doing something that we weren't supposed to do, and he was proving everybody wrong, so he was big for us.
Since Rucker's ventures into country music, others have come along.
You can have him 'cause he don't mean much to me. Well, I've tried so much till rivers turn to seas.
Songwriter Danica Hart, her sister, and her cousin formed the trio Chapel Hart. They're from Poplarville and have achieved acclaim.
Mississippi pride comes from deep inside, burning in my soul like a flame that won't die. Mississippi pride.
And that man is Aaron Vance. He's been singing country music around Mississippi for the last decade or so.
With Mississippi pride.
Country music, like all genres, has evolved, and more opportunities have opened up for artists, and country audiences have seemed, for the most part, more than willing to lend an ear.
You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning.
You've been listening to the Blues and Arts Hour, brought to you each week by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. Tune in next Friday at 9 a.m. right here on 103.9 WYAB.